Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 22nd of June 2022. Before I talk about what I want to talk about here, I just thought I'd talk about something I've come across recently, and it's this initiative you may or may not have heard of about white shields. And the idea behind it is just to have a plain white shield that you wear on your clothing somewhere, and it'll then tell other like-minded people who know about the whole white shield thing that you're a like-minded person, and then they can come up and start speaking to you. You can start speaking to them if you see them with a white shield, safe in the knowledge that you're going to be talking to, as I say, a like-minded person. It's a really great idea, and I'm sure we all pass people in the street, especially if you're feeling lonely, you're not really meeting up with any of these stand in the park things or anything like that, and you're just feeling lonely. Well, if you saw someone wearing a little white shield on their clothing, you'd know they're like-minded, and then you could sort of strike up a conversation with them maybe, and eventually perhaps make a friend where you might not have done otherwise. So it's a great little initiative, and I found out where you can get them. There's a company called schoolbadgesuk.co.uk. I'll leave, I'll put that web address under here somewhere, and also it'll be in the description box below, the link to it, and you can go and just order a plain white little sort of shield badge they do, which is kind of only about an inch tall or 3/4 of an inch tall, so quite a little discreet thing. And if people don't know what it is, they'll just think, well, they'll either not notice it, or they'll just think, well, you know, don't know what they'd think, but they probably wouldn't pay it much attention, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, what I want to talk about, the main topic is, and I started thinking along these lines probably well before this nonsense started, probably a best part of 10 years ago now. And I began to think, it's almost like there's a group of very high up people, either in the government or even higher up than the government, and they sit down every Monday morning or at the start of every month or every quarter, and they just rub their hands together and go, right, ladies and gents, what can we do now, or what can we do next that will make the lives of ordinary, everyday, hard-working, tax-paying people just that little bit tougher, just that little bit harder, that little bit more difficult, more expensive, more frustrating, and that little bit more horrible for them. And then they kind of brainstorm a few ideas, and then come up with some stupid idea like speed cameras, or 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, or you know, putting the tax on whatever it might be up a little bit, etc., etc. Because that's almost what it feels like. They never seem to do anything to make life easier. It's always just that little bit extra sort of thing to make your life a bit more difficult and a little bit more pleasant. And if there is a nice thing going on at the moment, they do their best to do away with that as well. And a classic example, and this used to be something, we can still do it in certain places, but you used to be able to do it everywhere. Here in the UK, we have what we call pay and display car parks. So if you need to go into town, you park up your car in a big car park, and then go off and do your shopping. And I'm sure other countries have got a similar thing, but you go to the little machine at the corner of the car park. Of course, they did away with the little man in the kiosk who had a little job there long ago, didn't they, and replaced him with a machine that you go up to, and you just sort of put in your money, say how long you want to stay there, and then it prints out a little ticket which you put on your dashboard here so any parking warden can see it. And that is how many car parks in this country operate. And we used to have this lovely little thing. Say you'd get to town at 10 o'clock, park up, and you'd go around the shops, and you'd get around them all a lot more quickly than you thought, and you're back at your car, about to drive away, sort of 11:15, say, so you've still got an hour and a quarter on your ticket. And if you saw someone arriving in the car park, you could let them have your ticket, and you could sort of say, look, I've still got an hour on this, hour plus, feel free to have mine if you like. And it was fantastic if they said, oh yeah, thank you very much, that's brilliant, cheers. And you really went away with a buzz, like you'd done your good deed for the day, and they'd obviously be happy that they'd got a bit of free parking where they thought they were going to have to spend a couple of quid, So it used to be a lovely thing, and like I say, you can still do it in some places. But I came across this article probably about 10 years ago in a newspaper somewhere, back in the days when I used to pay attention to any sort of mainstream media, and it said that doing that was actually illegal. Giving your ticket to a third party was illegal. And I just thought, what? Being nice to other people is illegal, is it? I just thought, no, that's a load of rubbish. But it was obviously a bit of predictive programming, wasn't it, to kind of bring in the idea, or float the idea of what the councils who run these pay and display car parks did next. And when the local councils came to replace the pay and display machines, they started putting in the ones where you have to input your car registration number, your sort of license plate number, which made the tickets non-transferable, because the warden would see it's on the wrong car and then give the person a ticket, So, and I just thought, why have you done that? Why have you just sort of made the effort to go and get these undoubtedly much more expensive machines that need a lot more maintenance, because they're way more complicated with all those buttons on them for all the numbers and all the letters of the alphabet that you have to punch in your registration number onto. And you've gone to all that effort, and why? And and I initially thought it's just pure greed, because I thought my logic is, if I've turned up at 10 o'clock and I've paid for a car parking space for 2 hours, well, that car park space is bought and paid for 2 hours. And if I decide to give my parking space to another person, for the remaining time, if I've got spare time on my ticket, that's down to me. That's got nothing to do with the authorities or the council or anyone else. And I just thought it was them being horrible and trying to wring just that extra little bit more money out of people. But I kind of since realised that it's probably even more sinister than that. Because they used to give you a buzz, a nice sort of vibe, putting in, sort of positive vibrations into the world. And that's what the powers that shouldn't be, they hate that, don't they? They want to stamp out any kind of good, positive vibrations and just make everything as negative as possible. So they, introduce nonsensical measures like that don't make any sense whatsoever. And I think that's what it's all about. And before you think I'm sort of spouting a load of old nonsense here, I actually was reminded of that by yet another James Delingpole interview. I really am binging on them this week. I've got quite a few of them to catch up on. Still got another couple as well. But the one I listened to this morning before work was, he was interviewing Leilani, what's her name? Dowding. Leilani Dowding, I think her name is, she's an ex Page 3, Sun Page 3 model and model generally, and very intelligent girl, very much kind of on our wavelength, if you know what I mean. And she was talking to James Delingpole, and they were saying how it's like the powers that shouldn't be are playing cat and mouse with us, kind of tormenting us and torturing us before killing us, sort of thing, just like a cat does. And for whatever reason, you know, they want to just crush good vibrations, have as many bad vibrations in the world, and to be as unkind to us as possible. And they were sort of, you know, bringing in the examples of, you know, things like speed cameras, and which are only there to make you lose your license a lot more quickly than what you might have otherwise done. It's got nothing to do with saving lives. It's they're just there to drain you of your money, lower your vibration, and it's like a lot of these other nonsensical things they do as well. So that's a point they raised, and it kind of reminded me of these pay and display ticket machines in car parks, so that's why I came out with that story for you. But again, another very worthwhile Delingpole interview to listen to, James Delingpole and Leilani Dowding. So I'll let you go and find that and see it. I can't really leave a link to it. Just do an online search for Delingpole and you'll soon find it. So I'll leave it there for today. Back tomorrow. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.